Well, hello and welcome, folks, to another Tuesday night of talking about getting out of debt, setting yourself free, living your purpose, achieving that American dream. And we do it all through understanding these financial strategies because the number one reason that we really aren't able to live our purpose sometimes is that overwhelming debt. And also that how are we going to be able to afford these things? How are we going to get these houses paid off, these credit cards paid off? How are we going to be able to achieve that American dream? Everybody wants to, but very few actually achieve it. What the American dream has really turned into is what? Lots of debt, student loan debt, too much debt, spiraling out of control.
Mhm.
But we're here to combat that. That's what we're going to talk about. We want to get out of that rut. My name is Ray Fleming, co host Richie GP. And we do talk a lot about financial strategies, but please understand that when we do these trainings, these informative sessions, they are general knowledge in scope. So your specific situation is going to be unique. And you really want to make sure that you understand and have a deep understanding of how this process works because it is not just one simple calculation, it is the overall recipe. So if you think about baking a cake, to truly initiate velocity banking, credit banking, however you want to refer to it, the strategy of eliminating debt. If you wanted to bake a wedding cake, there's the frosting, there's the cake, but then there's also the timing. There is the ingredients, how you're going to mix things together. You know, if you add a little too much, if you don't weigh out your flour, if you don't properly mix things. If you have too much egg, too little egg, you could run into more of a casserole than a cake. And so in that case, it might look like something and taste like something, but it's not as perfect as it could be. So that's what we want to make sure you understand before you dive into this. And that's why we invite you to join the Level Up in Real Life Facebook group. If you haven't joined yet, please journey over to Facebook and join that group. That's where you will be able to engage a lot more with us on a personal level. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about not only leveling up in real life, but the movement of money. Because quite frankly, we don't use our money effectively. Wouldn't you say?
Oh no, we don't. I've been in the situations before where I had no clue what I was doing when it came to trying to implement these strategies, and I kind of messed up. I didn't move the money correctly, nor did I set up my bill payments correctly as well, and therefore I ended up going through some growing pains in that sense. It didn't hurt much. It only cost about maybe $35 on an overdraft fee, but that was about it. But lesson learned. Didn't carry on beyond that. And from there on, it was just super simple right after. Like once I got used to it, it just turned into this really smooth, amazing, fondant looking like cake that Ray was talking about.
I have a good example of, well, no, not the cake baking, but of this. Today it was today or yesterday, I was kind of a little bit worried. I'm like, oh, wait, are things getting paid? I always have these moments because the way I've structured everything is lined up on payments automatically through the credit cards, and then
Hmm.
I pay everything at the same time. So there's really only like 2 days out of the month that I actually make payments to cover all the bills,
Right.
or at least that I need to actively be monitoring. Other than that, I've kind of structured it in that way, but it's still, even though I've been doing it for, this new plan, I've been doing that for about a year, because restructure is when I got this house that I'm in restructured for this property. it's still, I notice those old habits of, oh, is that bill gonna, and I still need to be cautious because it's not like you just set it and forget it. You always have to make sure that, even though it is direct deposit, it still came out properly and things like that. But
Hmm.
we have these tendencies of always wanting to be checking on it. But that's okay. I think that's something that should always be there. But
Yeah, for sure.
knowing that, oh well, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll get back to that later, or I'll go check on that in a couple days is totally fine. And if you've ever been in a situation where you freak out about bills, this helps to
Oh
alleviate
yeah.
the stress.
So much because aside from just movement of money, we will talk a little bit about aligning the bills as much as possible, so that way if you understand the structure of why it's good to keep as much money in the line of credit or whatever revolving account you're using as your velocity account. The reason why it's so important to have all that money sitting in there is because it's working for you every day, but the more you take out, the less is working for you. So what Ray is talking about is like maybe once or twice a month, he's needing to put money in to the line, which is a great thing. The rest of the time, it's basically money that's drawing out for bills and expenses and whatnot. But the least amount of that happening, the uh, the simpler everything gets, and the more money stays inside the line of credit, thus effectively attacking the interest. So so many cool maths in there. Um,
You're right. That is alignment of the bills. That's
yeah,
slightly different than the movement.
you
Yes.
can play
So
with both today because it does relate to each other. Because once we talk about movement of money, you're going to be talking about those expenses. And what about those expenses? Well, what if I have expenses coming out every single day out of the month, right? I got, my mortgage payment due on the 3rd, and then I got my cell phone bill due on the 10th, and then I got an American Express due on the 15th, and then I got electric bill and water bill and insurances and my kid's karate class because he loves Cobra Kai now, and so all these different things just culminate into all these different bill pays. And I think it's very important to people for people to get an idea of like how can we move the money and move less of it every single month. I think that's the goal we want to hit.